Hi, this is Alfawzia Nihar from At Home Tuition. Welcome to our session today. The topic that we are going to discuss in our today's video is range of a function. In this video, we will learn what the range of a function is. We will also see how to find the range of the function in different examples. Here is the definition of range of a function. The range of a function is the set of all possible values it can produce. So before getting to the range of the function, let's have a quick review of the functions and their inputs and outputs. To say that A is a function of B is same as that A is determined by B. Let me give you one real life example. For instance, consider a drink menu at a fast food restaurant. Assume a small drink cost $1.50 and a medium drink cost $2.50 and a large drink cost $3.50. Please notice that the price of the drink is determined by the size of the drink. Am I right? So therefore, the price of the drink here is the function of the size. Hope you're clear with this concept. So a function can be thought of as a rule that assigns a set of inputs to a set of outputs. So in our example, the inputs would be the drink size and the outputs would be the price. Therefore, our inputs are small, medium, large. And our outputs are $1.50, $2.50 and $3.50. So this is a real life example where you can understand what is a function, input and output. So if you put some input in the function rule, you will get some output. This is called the function rule. In a function, it is imperative that each input is assigned to only one output. The reason for this is because if an input were assigned to two different outputs, then given the input, we could not determine the output. Am I right? Given an input, we must be able to determine the output. And each input of a function has only one output. Hope you're clear with this. A function can be represented in different ways. We can use words to represent the function, as we did in our drink menu example, what we just discussed. We can also use an equation, a graph, or a table to represent the function. Let me give you some example for each type of representation. Here are some examples for each type of representation. For words, you can consider the drink menu example, what we just discussed. And second type of representation is equation. You will have an equation. It can be of any type. And third one is graph. It will be just a graph or a pair of points which will be plotted on the XY axis. And fourth type is table. So a function can be expressed in words format, equation, graph and table. So these are the different representations of function. You can let me know your favorite representation of a function in the comment section. And the one that you prefer easy. Okay, now let us start with the definition of the range of the function. As we said, functions have inputs and outputs. The inputs are what we put in the function and the outputs are what that comes out. We call the set of outputs of the function the range of the function. For example, consider the function defined by the rule that we take an input and raise it to the third power. So this can be represented in the equation form as this. So when this function is given input values, for example, let me assume some 0, positive numbers and some negative numbers. We can find the corresponding outputs by plugging those input values for x in the equation one by one. For instance, if we put x is equal to -2 in this equation, y equal to x cube. So what we will get? Just replace x by -2. So -2 times -2 times -2, which would be equal to -8. So when the input is -2, the output is -8. So -8 is in our range. Hope you're clear with this concept now. Same way you have to plug in all the other values given for x in this equation one by one. And you have to find the corresponding y values. Let me give you all the y values that I am getting. Please check whether you're getting the same value. So when we find each of the corresponding outputs to our inputs, we have our range. So in this example, the range here is -8, -1, 0, 1, 8. Because these are the outputs corresponding to -2, -1, 0, 1 and 2 respectively. So this is how we find the range of the function. Range is nothing but the outputs. Hope you are clear with the definition of the range of the function now. Okay, now let us discuss how to find the range of the function with some examples. To find the range of the function, we simply need to find the function's output based on its inputs. As we mentioned, functions can be represented in different ways. It can be represented in words, table, graph, or equation. So let's look at some different examples of finding the range of the function for different representation of functions. Here is a word problem. Suppose that a ball is dropped from a window that is 64 feet above the ground and that the ball strikes the ground after 2 seconds. If the function h calculates the height of the ball after t seconds, determine the domain and range. So if you want to know more about the domain, you can refer a previous video, how to find the domain of a function. Okay, let's get back to this topic. So your function is height as a function of time. So you have to denote it as h of t. Domain is nothing but all the possible input values of time t. Since the ball hits the ground at 2 seconds, the domain is 0, 2. Now coming to the range. The range is nothing but all the possible output values of h. H is height here. The ball goes from 64 feet to the ground or 0 feet. Am I right? Ground level is 0. So the range here is 0 to 64. Hope you're clear with this example. So whenever you get a word problem, the range would be very easy to find. Just read the question twice and identify what is the input. And after giving the input, you apply the function rule and check what the output you're getting. In word problems, it will be very clear. Hope you're clear with this example. You can frame your own example and post in the comment section. Now let me take an example. Please consider the function represented in the table. Here is the table. In this table, x and y values are directly given as input and output. By the definition, the range is the set of all outputs of a function. So, to find the range, you can just look at the outputs. These are the values which corresponds to the x values, corresponds to the respective inputs. For -3, we will get -6. For -2, you will get -4. So, the outputs here are -6, -4, -2, 0, 2, 4, 6. So these are the range. So range can be listed out like this. Hope you're clear with this example. Okay, now let me post a graph. Another way to identify the domain and range of the functions is by using graphs, because the domain refers to the set of all possible input values. The domain of the graph consists of all the input values shown on the x-axis. The graph covers these x values here. So these the red line, the value starting from -5 to 4 would be considered as domain here. It extends on the right side. And the range is the set of all possible output values which are shown on the y-axis. Keep in mind that if the graph continues beyond the portion of the graph, the domain and range may be greater than the visible values. So that is what this arrow denotes here. So we can observe that the graph extends horizontally from -5 to the right without bound. So the domain here is -5, infinity. You have to include this point. And the vertical extent of the graph, is all the range values starting from 5. You can look here, 5 and below. So the range here is starting from -infinity to 5. So note that the domain and range are always written from smaller to larger values, or from left to right for the domain and from bottom of the graph to the top of the graph for range. Hope you're clear with this example. If you're getting an equation, just plug in the x values one by one in the equation. So you'll get the corresponding y values. Finding range is very easy. So you should know all the 4 types of representation, and please notice that range is the output, domain is the input. In case if you have any query regarding this topic, kindly let me know. See you in the next video. Have a great time ahead.